Hey everyone, it's Mona. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. So, for this week's recommendations, I thought I would just focus on one author. And this is an author who I enjoy reading. I didn't really start reading him until the 90s, and that was with one book in particular, and that was Stephen King's The Stand. So, I thought I would share with you some more of his works. Um, I know we all think of Stephen King and we think of him as being a writer of horror stories, but he does write some psychological thrillers and some mysteries, and he gets a little bit of everything going, especially in his more current writings that he's done. Um, yes, he's written books like It, which we all know, especially since the movies started coming out recently, the remakes of the original. Um, and then there was Carrie and Cujo and Firestarter and Christine. But did you know he wrote Stand By Me, which was a great book and a great movie, or The Green Mile? Did you know he wrote the screenplay for Creepshow? I didn't. He also has a series, the Dark Tower series, which is 8 books. I did start reading it. I haven't quite finished them yet. And that was turned into a movie as well. But in most of his books, he deals with good versus evil. And in a lot of times, evil wins. But a lot of cases, good wins. But it, but in all of his books, it makes you think about what's out there, things that you can't see. There are some stories that he writes that you kind of look over your shoulder, like, oh, did I hear something? It definitely gives you a little thrill, gets your heart racing. But it's all good. It's all fun. You just take it with a grain of salt with what you read, and you believe what you want to believe. But I wanted to share with you a few books that I've read recently by him that I enjoy, and I think you may as well. You will definitely not, it doesn't start off like his usual books, and I think you'll enjoy them. The first one is the Bill Hodges trilogy, and it starts with Mr. Mercedes. I'm sure you've heard of this one. It's a murder mystery. Someone plows into a line of people waiting at a job fair, and we don't know who it is. They just disappear all of a sudden. And then the police officer who was on this case retires while it's open. They have no leads. And then all of a sudden, the driver contacts Bill for some reason. And now Bill's on a mission to find out who it is and to stop him from doing something like that again. And along the way, you meet other characters who help him, and you tend to, I fell in love with all of these characters, all the main characters. They are truly good at heart. They want to solve this. And you don't really see any of his weird stuff until the end of the book. So don't go looking for it. You may you may think you see it. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But it's really at the end of the book where you kind of get the sense of it. Then you have book 2, which is Finders Keepers, and then book 3, which is End of Watch, which wraps up the whole mystery behind the driver and Bill and his sidekicks. So I highly recommend that you read this one. If you want to try a Stephen King book, start with Mr. Mercedes. It's really good. And then going off of that, he wrote another book called The Outsider. Oops, The Outsider. And this one has one of Bill's friends, Holly Gibney, and she's now in this book, and she's a PI. And she is called in to help solve a murder. Um, it's about a boy who gets killed, and the person that gets arrested for has an alibi. He's in another town, 2, 3 hours away at the time of this horrific killing, but yet people saw him there at the crime scene. Now, how can one person be in two different places? It's a little odd. So they call Holly in because Holly has this way of seeing things out there that most people wouldn't see. And now they have to try and stop whatever it is that's doing the killings from doing it again. It's a really good book. I highly recommend it. Um, the next one is a more recent one. It's called The Institute. Um, this is a book about children with special abilities who get taken in the middle of the night and they wake up in a building. And there are other kids there. And one boy in particular, Luke, knows that something's not right. What is this institute all about? Apparently, it's an offset of a government program, supposedly, where they're using the talents of these children with special abilities to stop the bad people in the world. But Luke knows that once you start failing at it, something happens, and he needs to try and find a way to get out and to save all the kids. It's a great book. I listened to this audio and it was so interesting, so much details. And that's one thing about Stephen King that you may not realize is that when he writes, he's very descriptive and you feel like you're standing there looking at whatever the character's looking at. So I definitely recommend that. Don't be afraid to read him. He is a lot of fun to read. Read a little bit about him. He does have a memoir called On Writing, and you learn so much about his past, about why he chose to write the way he writes and the topics that he writes about. I hope you enjoy them. They're great. Don't let the name scare you. Just pick up a book. It's not all horror. It's a lot of thrillers, and there's humor in there too. So enjoy them. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.